Hello, good people. How you doing? Just coming to you today, or this evening rather. This is an answer to several emails and text messages and several people that asked me, or rather said what they believe to be true, and it's in reference to President Obama, whether he's done more for African Americans than they deserve, or whether they're complaining for nothing because of all that President Obama done for them. And I said, actually, he's done more for the LGBT community and illegal immigrants than he's done for African Americans. And matter of fact, I give much props to Donald Trump because Donald Trump told the truth. Donald Trump said, he's a disgrace. This man has done nothing for you. As a matter of fact, as you see several people on YouTube are saying it. And I mean, Dr. James David Manning, Professor David Carroll. I mean, I can go on and on and on. But Donald Trump said what most Republicans or Democrats didn't have enough nerve to say. Not all, I said most. Or didn't want to say, I'll put it that way. Obama has done nothing for African Americans. Number one, you're still massively unemployed. Number two, you're still massively incarcerated, especially African American men. And now women of color are starting to be arrested more because the difference is the for-profit prisons. Even in those prisons, you have to pay for toilet tissue and toothpaste. And you have to work long hours in there. It's not just sit down, get up and fight all day between. No. And I'm going to say this briefly because this is the subject for another video. In the private prisons, if you notice how they are built, they have floors section of this floor is for people that are putting together computers. This floor, this side of the floor, believe it or not, is for travel agents. In other words, you have prisoners that are doing the job of travel agents. I mean, large number of prisoners. One other section is in the manufacturing business. This is all in for private prisons. Remember, this is not just a regular old state prison or federal prison. Private for-profit prisons are nothing more than modern-day slave camps. Matter of fact, the Correction Corporation of America, one of the largest, owned by the same investment groups that own Atlantic Record and all these other ridiculous places that promote gangster rap. Kill that bee, sling that dope. The same buffoonery. They know better. Okay, we won't get into that. And the point I'm saying is, Donald Trump said that I will do more for you African Americans than President Obama did. And then one time he actually said, name a few things that he's done. I'm going to put it like this. Bernie Sanders is attacking right out in the open these phony politicians. And which he put Hillary Clinton as the number one. Hillary Clinton is as phony as a $3 bill. She didn't want anything to do with Black Lives Matter in the beginning. When she found out that Bernie Sanders and the other fellow got out, I forgot his name, and that she was running against Trump and all the other. She's got Trayvon, all the people that were killed by policemen. She got, I think, Eric Garner's mother, Trayvon Martin's mother, and a few others. Oh, she cares so much for African Americans and Black Lives Matter and all these kind of things. To President Obama, Black lives do not matter. And the reason why I say this, even in the Bush. And remember, wait a minute. First of all, I'm not telling you to vote for anybody because I'm neither a Democrat or a Republican. I'm independent. I'm a child of God. I'll vote the way the Spirit leads me. I'm not voting. It's not just a lesser of two evils. I'm going to vote for someone who I think is going to do the best job for my community and America. I'm not going to vote for anybody stupidly or ridiculously or be fooled into voting for somebody based on the color of their skin. And I'm not talking about anybody, but what I'm saying, now that we know better, we just can't blindly go up there and foolishly go up there and vote for these dangerous people. Obama has an agenda, a one world agenda, to join America into it. You see what he's doing. He's telling Britain and all these other countries to don't leave the EU. He wants to form, he's part of a one world agenda. Is Obama the Antichrist? No, he's not. But he has that Antichrist spirit. This man openly got up on the mic, on the platform, and talked bad, negative about not African Americans. That's not what I'm talking about now. But he has though, and talked bad about Christianity. But he uplifts Islam. Now, I mean, I'm not talking about bad about Islam. I'm just saying, if he was a true Christian, if he was a true child of God, he would not do that. Still, that's subject for another vid. But what I'm talking about right now, I think unemployment for black teens or black Americans was what, at 12%? Do you know the unemployment rate for African Americans right now under Obama is the highest it's been in I don't know how many decades. It is over 50% of black teens are unemployed. These are people that are trying. And by those same statistics, unemployment rate for African American men in some communities, I put it like this. In some communities, 1 out of every 3 grown African American men are unemployed or underemployed. In some communities, 1 out of every 2 black men are unemployed. We're still massively incarcerated. You have 2.3 million men that are incarcerated in America. What do you have now? 1.5 million men are black, or men of color. Mostly black. He's just starting to say something about it now, or whatever. I'm not paying it. The law that this man has enacted, look at the millions of dollars he's given to the LGBT community and the immigrant community. And by that same amount, look at what he did. I know what I'm talking about. You look it up. If you think I'm lying, deconstruct my argument. Mr. David Carroll and James David Manning was right about President Barack Obama. Do you know there's over 94 million Americans that are unemployed? But I've said it before, and you've heard me say it again. Bernie Sanders stood there and said he'll fight for black Americans. Not only black Americans, Hispanic Americans, LGBT community, and everybody. Now, I accept that. He's telling you the middle class is wiped out. Even Donald Trump telling you. Let me tell you, do you know Rockefeller Center is owned by Asians? Bridgestone and Firestone is owned by Asians. Even the Budweiser company is owned by foreigners. Even some of the cigarettes companies, big major tobacco, are owned by foreigners. Even 7-Eleven is owned by foreigners. You don't know who these people, because they're not telling you that. Yet some people know, but the majority of the majority of Americans do not know. And I'm not blaming that on Obama. But Obama, what he's been doing, he's mostly looking out for, he even went over there behind the people back in private and signed the Trans-Pacific Partnership. There's not one trade agreement that ever done any Americans any good. That's what started, that's what caused all these businesses to go overseas, pay these people over in these foreign countries, in third world countries, $3 a week, and then come back and sell these same products, air conditioners and electronic goods, for these exorbitant prices, while the middle class is being wiped out. Donald Trump is a businessman. He can make a difference. Bernie Sanders is going to stand up and fight. I believe Donald Trump might try to do what he said he's going to do. He openly said it. Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump are not your ordinary politicians. They're pulling the cork. They're pulling the screws. They're taking the curtains off of these phonies. Look at the Black Caucus. And then you have the Congressional Black Caucus. Then you have the CBC PAC, which are entirely two entities. The CBC PAC endorsed Hillary right out in the open. And here goes the thing. Out of the 46 members of the CBC, which was started in 1971, 8 of these joined this lobbyist group that was started in 1994, the CBC PAC. 8 of them. What am I saying? They're paid by the same people that are destroying more black people than anybody else. Big tobacco, big pharma, and believe it or not, private prisons of all things. Can you imagine a group of black people lobbying for getting paid off by private prisons of all things? The director of Color of Change, Rashard Robinson, called them out right on Roland Martin's show. Most of these politicians are as full of crap as a constipated elephant. Liars and thieves. And I believe all members of Congress and the Senate should take a 10 to 15% pay cut. If you want everybody else to work 15 hours a day and work for $8 an hour, you can lead by example. Because you get your health care is even paid for. You make $194,000, and the House Speaker make what $225,000 a year, and they work half the year. Phonies and liars. America is operating on the 19.1 trillion, and when you start up with Medicare and Medicaid, America owes over $60 trillion. Is over $60 trillion in debt. You will never be able to pay that back. You have the Chinese up slamming you on one side, the Russians slamming you on the other, and the Middle East is just... America is falling and being inducted and drafted into a one world government state of mind. But Obama has done nothing for African Americans. Please put it down what you think he's done. I tell you, he's done more for the LGBT community. When it was going across the bridge in Selma, he stood up and gave props to the LGBT community. Or you have to look at me and tell me and say, I'm black. Now, I'm not documenting, I'm not talking bad about anybody. But we need help right now. We need prayer. We need God on our side. Because without God, black folks, America, especially black folks, we're not going to make it. You've been had. You've been stabbed in the back. You've been hoodwinked. This man is actually standing up for people that are destroying you. In some African American communities, the poverty rate is at 80%. Look at New Orleans, Louisiana. African Americans have an 80% poverty rate. That means 80% of the entire population have zero. Out of every $100 a regular white family has, a black American family only have 6. Obama has done nothing to address these issues. And when it came to the voting right bill, you should see what he said. His own team was telling him, look, this is, you need to go ahead and pass an executive order to change this. He said nothing could be done about it. Their jaws dropped open. God bless, folks. Leave an answer. What do you